because that happens quite often. I had a right nightmare trying to get it connecting, but we finally got it connecting. We are
Yeah,
live.
hopefully it stays okay.
Well, I haven't been able to stream into Zoom. I've had to go straight onto the Facebook, which is it's just not flattering. I'll be honest with you. It's not,
Great.
on Zoom, I can have a little bit of a filter, and it works. Right, okay, we are finally live. Bear with me 1 second. Hey, everyone, we are on with Rudi. I can go in and edit that, but I have posted, so that means we are officially live. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody, and thank you, Rudi. I'm so stoked for today's call. Means that I don't have to think of anything to give you guys this week, but pure inspiration. All right, she's going to tell me that she's not inspiring. She's going to tell me to go away and bugger off. But Rudi is one of my clients who has probably, I'd say, seen the biggest internal changes, internal shifts, the huge internal shifts, as well as, of course, as well as the physical changes that have gone on as well. And so I really wanted to bring her on to hopefully inspire some of you guys to take an action, and for you guys to sort of see, you know, all of the, like, you guys get to see all the posts about how successful my clients are, but I really want to show that life isn't always like fine and dandy beforehand, right? And there were a few things that Rudi was struggling with beforehand, and I really want to show you guys that it is possible no matter who you are, what background you have, and how kind of like how you're feeling about yourself, that can all change. So I appreciate you, Rudi. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome.
This is gonna be an awesome call. And with Rudi, in the last 9 months, she is gone, and I'm sure she can give you so much more information than me. From, I would say, flatline, no energy, really disconnected with herself, to literally said to me, for fuck's sake, I've got so much energy, I don't know what to do with it, quote unquote. So, fully energized, having so much more purpose. Her life is changing, her relationships are changing. Oh, and she forgot she lost over 19 pounds, just about 20 pounds.
Have I? I didn't realise that.
See? Body weight. And so Rudi is a beautiful example of how once you get going on not just a weight loss journey, but on a overall overhaul health and wellness journey, it's so much more than the weight. The fact that she gave me an entire picture, like she sent pictures of all of her wins, and the very bottom was, oh yeah, I've lost weight. So thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. You can probably give me much, or paint the picture for everyone who's watching, like a much better in-depth picture of what was it like before you started working with me. What was going on for you?
So it's in contrast to how it is now, because everything was about my weight. So for, you know, since I was a teenager, which is, you know, over 40 years, I've been trying to lose weight. Everything was about my weight. I felt I was fat, and I couldn't even look in the mirror at myself. And I tried all different diets. I'd had hypnotherapy. I'd done all of the diets and tried them all again, and was convinced that I didn't succeed because I didn't have any willpower, and it was my fault. And I decided to this was like my last ditch attempt, you know, to go, right, well, if I can't, I've not tried this before, if I try this and it doesn't work, then I don't know what else I'm going to do. And actually I don't know what else I would have done. So I was, no offense, Bianca, but I was desperate by that point, because I knew I didn't I knew I wanted to do something. I felt, like Bianca said, I felt so tired. I just felt shit. Shit in the way I looked, how I felt, my life. You know, my life wasn't shit. But that's how I felt. And I, you know, had depression, medical issues, depression, wasn't moving, just I wasn't living my life. And, you know, I'm very fortunate. I've got a great job. I've worked in different countries. So I'm in a very good position. And yet I wasn't living my life, and I wasn't grateful for that life, because all I thought about was the size of me and what I looked like. And I couldn't accept, well, I just couldn't accept anything different other than Rudi was the fat person that when it was all about weight, there was nothing else to me. And that's what everybody saw. So, yeah. And, had pain and, joints and, all of those things that obviously being overweight comes with. But it was more about how I felt about myself that was the worst thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And some things that I've really specifically made a note on here as well, some key things is, while yes, you struggled with weight since you were a teenager, you struggled a lot with emotional eating and having no energy. That's very typical of people who come through me and who I talk to. But I think what is also really different and interesting to talk about is you had some health scares, right? And
Yeah.
as having a health scare, we would automatically think, okay, now I've had a health scare, now that's going to give me the motivation and a rocket up my ass to start changing my life and to start changing things. But it didn't. It didn't
No.
change motivation.
No.
And it didn't give you that motivation that you had hoped for. And I see this and hear this a fair amount. And so I want to show other people, it's perfectly normal. Just because you have a diagnosis, just because you're told that you need to change, doesn't then suddenly mean that motivation is like a wet fish and slaps you in the face and you're like, oh, thank you, thanks for coming along. So how was that, getting like the diagnosis and then going, okay, where's the motivation?
Well, I thought it would magically happen that once I had this diagnosis, that I'd wake up the next morning and I'd be like, oh, okay, yes, I'm going to be healthy. And that went through my head. But it didn't magically happen at all. And what actually happened was that I became a victim of my condition. So I became the ill person, and it was like it gave me an excuse to warrant overeating and to give me that excuse. Poor me, I've got this condition, so now I can do this, and I feel crap. It's been diagnosed that I feel crap, and I'm going to just make myself feel even worse because I don't know what else to do. And actually, if having this diagnosis didn't make me suddenly wake up and be able to do what I should do or what I think I should do, then what the hell is actually going to make a difference? So I became a victim of the conditions I've been diagnosed with.
I've got goosebumps because I just know how much you've changed from that, right? And we won't give that away for another because I got another point that I wanted to talk about. Here's another thing. You didn't want to exercise because your knees hurt and you lacked the strength in your leg muscles, on top of working long hours. So again, this is another one of those things that I hear a lot is, well, I can't exercise or I can't move because I'm in pain. And I can't do healthy things and I can't have healthy habits because I'm busy. What would you say about those things that you mentioned to me on our very first call?
Well, the bad knee thing, I mean, again, it's just, when you look back now, but I was worried that I had, something wrong with my knee that I'd need surgery with. So I went to see a specialist and he said, no, there's nothing wrong with your knee. You just have no muscles in your leg. So you would think that then I'd think, oh my goodness, I need to work on my muscles. But no, I thought, okay, that's fine. I've got nothing wrong with my knee. So that's still, again, that diagnosis actually made me think, oh, okay, so I don't need to worry then. And which was, just madness, that's how I felt. And the time thing, I mean, I was convinced I didn't have time. I really was. I wasn't lying to you. I really didn't feel like I had the time. I have a very busy job. I work very long hours. And I didn't think I could fit anything in. And to be honest, I know I spoke to you a lot about, I don't know what it is that I want to do. And anytime anyone suggested, I was like, no, I don't really want to do that, you know. And because I didn't probably have the understanding or hadn't tried to find out how it would make me feel by doing some exercise. So obviously we've done a lot of work on sorting out my day, and now I mean, I've even said to Bianca, you know, like you said, I've got so much energy, I don't know what to do with it. And equally, I've said to her, I've got time, I don't know what to do with it. So by organising it, then, you know, now, I mean, I've sorted it, it's fine. But yeah, I found that working with you, I then worked out how to manage my time so that I did have time to do what it was I wanted to do. And then sometimes I find myself with, oh, okay, what shall I do now? Because I've got the energy to do it, but I don't, you know, so it's yeah, completely changed. And as I say, I felt like I didn't have the time. You know, it was a true belief that I didn't have the time, and it didn't matter how you tried to persuade me otherwise. I didn't, until I tried to work it out and believe what you said. You know, and find actually, yeah, I have got time. So even when you're really busy, you have got the time.
Fantastic. So would you say it was a shift in perspective and a little bit of reorganizing?
Yeah, reorganizing and yeah, and looking at it from a different, you know, rather than a negative view, is a case of, okay, and let's section my day off, which I know we worked on together. Okay, you've got this pocket of time, you've got this, what are you going to be doing in that? And just, you know, being more organized and not letting, and this is sort of one of the major things I feel, is that beforehand I was letting life happen. I was just existing. I wasn't taking control of my life, you know, and living my life. And the same thing was happening with the time. I was letting it consume me rather than trying to manage it and work it out. I was just, you know, I'd get home and I was so tired that the thought of trying to do anything was, you know, all I was doing was trying to get to bedtime and eating, so I stayed awake. I mean, you know, how mad is that? But yeah, you know, and it was looking at it from a different point of view, rather than, okay, so you've got 5 minutes, what could you do in that 5 minutes? Okay, and then that 5 minutes becomes 10 minutes, and so on and so on. And organizing, you know, making your food a couple of days ahead so you don't have to come home and do that. Yeah, just reorganizing and just looking at everything from a different point of view.
Different lens, different perspective.
Yeah,
amazing.
definitely.
Amazing. Okay, well, I could go on and on and on and hear about like everything that you're experiencing before, but I know that. So let's give everyone a little bit of an idea of what's changed. Like, who are you? Are you even called Rudi anymore? Like, what's your new name? This new persona that's strutting around everywhere with all of this energy. So everything's totally shifted. And I want to mention for anyone watching this is just in 9 months. All of this, right? Quite a significant amount was done in her first program, so in 0 to 6 months. But she's on month 9 now, and all of like what. So my program is typically 6 months. What happened at that 6-month mark that made you want to re-sign on?
Because I felt I was ready to actually lose weight, to be honest. I felt we'd done so much on what was holding me back emotionally from from actually losing weight. It's like my body and my mind were holding on to it because it was safety. But by the 6 months, I felt, oh God, I'm actually ready now. I'm ready. And I couldn't just go, oh, okay, now, you know, like it's a case of I want to, and was so excited about actually, oh my God, I can put these things, you know, I feel I'd got to a place we'd worked through so many things that, like the barriers to stopping it. Plus I knew it wasn't my fault. Like it wasn't my fault. I'd been sold different things, and I'd been, you know, and I was in that mindset for various different reasons. But by the 6 months mark, I was ready, and I knew, you know, just before that actually, until I got all of my emotional and my past beliefs about myself and all of that, until I'd got that addressed, and I, you know, I had to do various things to do that. then I was in a place where I was ready to actually then work on my wellness, and nothing to do with losing weight. It just completely changed. It was not, that's why I didn't realize I'd lost that weight.
Please mention about the weight.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah, forget about that.
No, I'm
But
kidding.
it's wellness as well. But I've lost my train of thought now anyway, but yeah, so I think that's where I'd got to. I'd got to a point where I really wanted to then carry on and didn't want to. I know I just felt so good, and I felt I was really ready, and nothing I'd done before was the same. So nothing before had been, like it was always felt like, well, you need to keep to the plan, you need to do this. Oh, you haven't got any willpower, you've given in. And of course it's not the same with you. And it was just like, I want to carry on. I'm feeling so much better. I felt so much better in my mind that I knew I was now at the point where I could actually do something proper, because it's not a diet. And you hear this is not a diet, it's a lifestyle, even though that's not necessary, but this really is. And it's something I want to do for the rest of my life. So I needed to carry on. I couldn't have stopped there.
You're just seeing too many good things at that 6 month mark. You're like,
look
no,
at my face.
Too good. Just reading the comments, and you've got a raving fan here, Rudi. Katie says, I'm out right now, but wanted to say hi, and Rudi is amazing. So just to let you guys know, Katie is another one of my clients.
Katie, I tell you, being in a group helps so much. It really does. Listening to people's wins and any challenges, and we really help each other. So that's really, really important. So thank you, Katie.
Bless her. Amazing. Okay, so 9 months later, just 9 months. And you said, quote unquote, fan bloody tastic.
Yeah.
So what's shifted? Tell us what's going on for you right now.
Oh God, well, everything. I mean, look at my face. I just smiling all the time, and I've got energy, and I actually now know what it's like to have energy, because I didn't realize what it was like at all. And I'm just like everything. I mean, I've got a whole long list of things, and I've learned so much about myself. I can look in the mirror, and I don't, that's fine. It's me.
That was a hard session,
and I'm happy.
It
was, that was so hard, because I really didn't want to do that, because I hadn't done it ever, and it was really difficult. But actually now it's not a problem.
Can I just take a pause on that? Really, really struggled looking in the mirror. I gave her an action step, and we were discussing it in a session actually, and I said, grab a mirror, and she went, no. I'm like, what do I need a mirror for? And I was like, I just invite you to have a look into the mirror. And even just getting the mirror out, like trembles, it was just something that you were never comfortable with. And you're looking in the mirror now. How amazing is that?
Yeah. And it's fine, and I mean, I couldn't even on my own, in the house on my own, I couldn't walk from my bedroom to the bathroom with nothing on. Whereas now, I have to make sure that the curtains aren't open. And it just doesn't bother me.
People on the street now. She's like, look at my new body, everyone.
You're welcome. So it's just, those things don't cross my mind, and I can't believe that they were, it wasn't that long ago, and they were such a big thing, and yet they're not now. And I would never have done this. There's no way you would have got me doing this at all. Just speaking to you, those first few sessions, just speaking to you with a camera was tricky. Just doing it like that, face to face, normally would have been all right, but I didn't like that. But and I think one of the most important things is that I understand. I'm still learning, but I'm understanding about how food makes me feel, as in so what things I need to eat to make me feel good, to give me energy, and because it's not the same for everybody. And trying to, so I know I need to eat certain things so that my energy carries on. I didn't even know what it felt like to be hungry. because I never was.
Do you know what? That's something that I totally forgot about, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
That is something that we had to work through for a while. And I was like,
yeah,
okay, how does, like, when do you get hungry? And you're like, what's hungry?
yeah.
Sorry,
No
get out the
idea.
dictionary. Okay, I don't get that. Yeah, so
Yeah,
really had to dial in and start tuning into your own body's signals.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I didn't know what it felt to be hungry. And again, it's different for everybody. I now know that actually a sign of me being hungry, my stomach doesn't rumble and things like that, is actually my energy goes. So I have to make sure I keep that up, because that's, by the time my energy goes, I should have eaten something. So again, it's different for everybody, and it's learning, I'm learning about my own body.
Mhm.
And I think, again, it's that thing of actually you don't have to fit a certain box.
Mhm.
We're all different. So it's not a case of necessarily you have to have this, this, and this. It's a case of what works for you. So, and dialing into, actually, I am hungry. I know I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat something, and actually I'm going to stop when I've had enough. And oh my goodness, a revelation. I don't know if you remember this, and you being sarcastic to me, was just like, I was worried that actually if I ate something and stopped when I had had enough, what if I was hungry again?
Mhm.
Do you remember? And what was your reply?
Mm.
Oh, maybe you could actually get what you had and finish it, you know?
Like the food that's right there, maybe just offering a solution.
I
I'm
was
not
going to
always
say yes.
sarcastic with everyone. It's just
Yeah,
us.
yeah. I'm glad you don't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah, go on.
And I was just going to say, it's just about what, like, it's that block that we create up with ourselves, and an excuse or a reason, however you want to call it, like that's a genuine reason. You just couldn't see around it, and it's about
No.
thinking outside the box sometimes. And that might have
Mm,
sounded like a very sarcastic or a simple solution, but
yeah,
these things are. I
yeah.
was speaking with a client this morning. She's like, oh yeah, but I don't have time to do XYZ. And it's like, oh well, how about you take two bags instead of one, right?
Yeah.
Or how about you spend half of your time watching Netflix and half of your time writing up what you're going to have next week, and then if you don't finish it, then you can use tomorrow's Netflix time.
Mm,
And
mm,
like some little things are just this little tweak, but it's outside the box, because what happens is we become so blinkered to our own life and think, right, this is the way that it is. There's no other
mm,
possible way that I could change this, because I am trying to do everything at once, and this is just how it is. And so
mm,
sometimes
mm,
I think having that fresh perspective and fresh
mm,
eyes, just like,
mm.
oh yeah, that's so simple. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, yeah. And I find what happens now is when I go to say something to you,
Yeah.
already I know what's going to come back. And then
Mhm.
but just by actually having that conversation with you, I know, oh, actually, I've already answered that in my head, because I know exactly what you're going to say. Which is, whereas before I'd be like, oh, I don't know, what else? What could I do?
Mhm.
And I was just thinking of something else, but I now can't remember what I was going to say. But yeah, I can't remember. That was something really good that I wanted to say, and now I can't remember what it was.
Well, if it comes up, feel free to interrupt. I did want to mention about the holiday that you've had.
Oh yes, yes.
So typically, again,
Oh,
kind
I
of
know what it was. I know what it was.
okay.
Which will relate to the holiday, is that I didn't. So you get into it. I can only speak from my point, is that I had habits. So I know I'd say to you, yeah, well, it's just a habit. Like it's a habit for me to do that. That actually the realization that actually you can change a habit, and you learn to do that with your help. I learned how to do that, and also to then celebrate when I had not given in to the habit. Doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Sometimes it does, and you learn from that. But it's a case of, oh my god, I can actually change my story.
Mhm.
I don't do that. And in my head now, if I go to the shop and I see something that I would have had before, then I recognize that there's that little Rudi that's sitting there going, oh, go on, have that. And I'm like, no, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that. I'm not that person that I was, and that's fine. Come on, let's move on, and let's go and go out, or whatever it might be. So knowing that I had the tools to change those habits, knowing that those habits weren't a bad thing, they served me in the time. There was a reason why I'd got into those habits, but knowing that I had the tools and I had your support and the group support to work on trying to change those habits, that was like a revelation, that, oh my God, I can actually do this, and actually I can keep doing it. And that's something that definitely helped me when I was on holiday.
Amazing. And talking of holiday, this absolute badass has been on holiday and came back 3.8 kg lighter. Would you like to share what holidays were like before you joined this journey?
So the holiday, I would have been planning what I was going to eat. So I currently live in China and go back home, in the summer. I work in the school, so I have long holidays. And so I would have been planning well ahead. Right, I'm going to go and have these crisps. I'm going to have this. I'm going to have that. And any holiday that I've ever had, I've always come back home and, well, put weight. No, I put weight on because clothes are tighter, but never would have got on the scales to show how much. And I've never been on holiday and lost weight. That was never, like it just, and not only has it never happened, but it'd never be an expectation or even a thought that you could actually do that. What do you know?
Absolutely. And so the holidays were based a lot around food and inactivity almost. Being inactive and lying on the sunbed and stuff. And just for those in the US, 3.8 kg is just over 8 pounds, or just under 8.4 pounds, should I say. Like that's huge. That's huge to be able to go away, be at an all-inclusive hotel, right? Can we add? And I think there's one thing, and you can argue otherwise here. I think there's one thing that changed, and it was just the decision that you weren't going to gain weight on this holiday. And
definitely.
That one decision just helped you lose weight.
Yeah, totally. I decided well before the holiday, because I was starting to get anxious about it. I'd got to such a point, and I knew that I didn't want to carry on, sort of go backwards. I'd learned so much, and I wanted, and also again, this life, I don't want to keep having to do this. My life will involve holidays and not being in the routine that I am in at home. So I've got to learn how to do that and practice to do it so it's better. And so I decided, I don't know, week or so before I went on holiday, right, I'm not going to do this. I'm not doing that. I'm not that person anymore. And I've got to practice doing this. And I'm not going to go back with that. I didn't go back. I didn't say to myself, I'm going to lose weight. I didn't say, I didn't do any of that. I just said to myself, I'm not going to do what I always have done before. I'm going to try and make it different. So just like you say, having that thought in my head, I then had to plan, okay, what is it I'm going to do different? The first thing that I did and planned to do was on the plane. I know when you go on the plane, that there won't be food that I would want to eat that would make me feel good and anything. So I took my own food on there. I took my packed lunch, and it was so much better than the plain food, and I could eat it when I wanted to eat it. So, it was much better, and I didn't have to wait for them to take the food away. So that was my first, and actually even that in itself was just like, can I actually do that? And I wasn't convinced that they wouldn't take it out of my bag when I got to security, but actually they didn't. So I'll definitely, have done that again. And just planning. So like you said, I knew we stayed at various different places, but I knew, so like the first hotel, I knew breakfast was included, and I knew it was going to be a buffet. Well, actually, so I then wrote down in my journal, okay, so you can have, these might be some options you can. I know that there'll be fruit. I know that there'll be some salad stuff. Then there might be this, there might be this, there might be this. So I'd sort of planned, okay, these are potentially the options. So you could have this, or you can have this, or you could have that. And the same for, so in terms of going out during the holiday when I didn't know what, I couldn't plan like that. My plan was simply, okay, look at what the options are and choose the best option. And that's what you can do, and as long as you're not, you know, you're eating when you're hungry and you're not overeating, then that is the best you can do. Sometimes you don't have the control that you would want, but again, that's reality. So you just choose the best, or you know, ask them to give you something different because it doesn't suit what you want. And a lot of places will do that. So yeah, so basically it was planning. And then of course, once I'd been there one day, I knew what was an option, so I could then plan for the next day. And then the same with all of the parts of the holiday. When I was to begin with, I was in a hotel, and because of the location, you didn't really go out of the hotel, so it's quite controlled. And I know I messaged you, Bianca, when I was then going to go home, and said, "Oh, I'm a little bit concerned here because where I am here it's controlled." I still could have, obviously, I know I still could have eaten chips all the time and all sorts of things, which I didn't do because I don't like the way it makes me feel physically, and I didn't want to spoil my holiday by feeling unwell. But I knew when I went home, you know, everything's available to me. And then you gave me a lovely analogy about an animal in a zoo and then an animal in the wild.
Energy, I really
Do you
don't.
not remember?
Analogy. No, I don't.
No,
You said
yeah,
this last time, the last
yeah,
time we spoke, and I was like,
yeah.
when did I say this?
Yeah.
Genius.
It was something like about a lion being in a zoo and us celebrating that it didn't eat the giraffe, and then it being out in the wild, and then surprise, you know, it's different, you know, like it's I learned how to be on holiday in that first session, like first part of it, and then I learned how to be on holiday back in the UK. And again, I just applied. I knew what I was going to have. I still, you know, I wanted to go home. I wanted to go to the chip shop that I really love because they do really nice chips. So I did that, but I didn't overeat. And I ate slow, and actually, they weren't as nice as I thought they were going to be, which was sort of, you know.
But that also comes from slowing down and really being mindful with food. There's an activity that we do as clients, and I got used to do it when we did the 3 hour long boot camp. And it's just an activity where you just completely eliminate all distractions and really focus on your food. And the thing is it actually reduces the like that hype around it in your brain. So then it doesn't become this thing that you just shove down because it's just delicious and that, and you because you're mindful of it, because you can taste it, you can smell it, it actually doesn't become that food that you just want to shove down just for the sake of de-stressing or not being bored. And it actually helps you minimize your food, but just by being mindful.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and you know, I'm happy with what I did on holiday. I learned a lot. I mean, there was some times when I went into the shop, and you know, it's amazing actually when you start tuning into the thoughts that pop into your head. So I know I said to you about this before, that my habit would be to get 2 big bags of crisps and have crisp dinner, you know, take them home, have those for dinner. That was my dinner, and I would just ram them in. So one day I went to go and see my mum. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning, and as I was driving to my mum's, it popped into my head, oh, when I finish with my mum today, I'm going to go down to the co-op and I'm going to go and get some crisps and I'm going to take them home and I'm going to have them. And then it was like, and you think, God, why am I thinking of this at 10 o'clock in the morning? My day should be I'm spending the day with my mum who lives in England and I live here, and I enjoy being with her. Why am I thinking about that? So that was the case of, right, stop. You don't do that anymore. That's not what you do. Doing that doesn't make you feel good. You know, it gives you pain in your stomach and all those, and the emotional. So I didn't do that. So then I saw my mum and we did whatever we did. As soon as I dropped my mum off, it popped into my head again. So again, I had to say to myself, no. I did have to go to the shop as it happened. So, and on the way there, I was like, no, not going to do that. I know what I need to get. I've decided I'm going to have whatever it was I decided I was going to have for dinner, and I'll pick those things up and I'll come out. When I walked into the shop, popped in again. And I was like, no, you know what you got to get those. And then what happened was the thought that went into my head was, oh, okay, because you're not having the crisps, why don't you have something else? So I was walking up and down the aisles with this sort of thought of, oh, what am I looking for? And then I realized, and I nearly said out loud, and I'm sure people would have taken me away if I'd have done this, but I sort of said in my head, I know what you're fucking doing. I know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to, you know, this Rudi, I'm pointing to her, she's here, trying to get me to have something to compensate for the fact you're not having Chris. And the fact that I was walking up and down the aisles is because I didn't want something else, because I was happy with the food that I got. That's what I'd chosen to have, because I really like eating that food and I didn't need something else. So I then was like, and as soon as I realized that's what was happening, it's just like, right, come on, get your food, go home. But it was just, when you tune into it, it's quite interesting. And the fact that I was thinking about getting Chris for my dinner that was hours away, like that's, you know, madness, you know, like I just think, God, it just shows you once you start noticing it, these things popping in, and then the conversation. And I know one of the activities you get us to do is to actually, the celebration part of it. It's not just when things don't quite go as you want them to, but actually to then go home and go, right, okay, what happened? What did I do? How did it? So that I can remember that, and I can notice if it happens again, because it's going to happen again. It's it's not, you know, these things happen. So, and I, you know, I write everything down so I can flick back and go, oh yeah, I did that. What did I do? Okay, this is going to come up. Maybe I'm going to do that. What did I do last time that worked? So I'll do the same. So it's all those like little things, and just reflecting each day on how the day'd gone, how I felt, and you know, if I had things that weren't on my plan that I hadn't had to have, I didn't beat myself up. It's just okay. It's okay. I now don't need to have 20 packets of crisps. There's no need. So I've had that. Okay, fine. There you go. You had that. What did you learn from it? And then move on. Which it was not anything that, you know, that would have been a slide down to, you know, a week, 2 weeks, a month of crisp dinners. You know, there's no way that that wouldn't have had not quite that bad, but you know, near enough. So yeah, I mean, just totally different. So yeah, and I'm not on my blood pressure is now normal.
Oh,
which
this is
the
another one that
biggest.
she forgot. Huge win, probably one of the biggest markers. Your blood pressure is back down to normal.
Yeah, with no medication. So I was on medication, and it was still high with medication. I'm now not on any medication, and it's normal.
Wow, so that's something that I didn't even mention yet. That's amazing. That's phenomenal. Amazing. All right. Well, this I would love, before we wrap up, I would love to go over, and you've kind of mentioned a couple of things, so you can feel free to repeat that. I think I'm frozen. She's frozen. Yeah, we're frozen. I'll wait until you come back. This is typical for mine and Rudi's sessions. She will always freeze. Come back.
What happened there?
I don't know, but I've got two of you in my my screen. I'm looking at the Facebook Live, so we can still hear you, but we can't see you now. I can see you. Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so just want to quickly go over 3 things that were helpful for you, that have made a huge difference for you. You've already mentioned a few things, so feel free to repeat those and just clarify, like what 3 things have made a huge difference for you.
I think one of the things I've got, like I said, that I got, you know, very desperate at the beginning, and I think I decided to give it one last chance and actually to invest, you know, financially and emotionally into something that I'd not tried before. And obviously that was finding you. And I'd not tried that before. So that's something, you know, I needed support. I needed support and guidance. And that's thanks to you that's been the case. And obviously us working together, I know. But it's true, you know that. Also the support of the group, like Katie meant, you know, popping in and saying hello. We've got a really good group that, you know, we share wins and things that haven't worked out well, and other stuff, recipes, and just general life. I mean, It's nice having that group, that, you know, we're all at different stages in different positions, but we've all got a common sort of thread, and that's really important. That's really, you know, because it's like a family, you know, and I think that's really helped, and so much. And the other thing is journaling. My goodness, you know, I never, you know, that was mentioned at the beginning, and I'm like, yeah, and I was just like, okay, so how do I journal? I googled it, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to do this. Well, that didn't quite,
we
you
have
know, work.
modules and videos and trainings on how to journal. She didn't have to Google it. She wasn't by herself, I
No,
promise.
sorry, no, of course not, of course not. But I then, I then, you know, realised that I needed to make it work for me, and then once I realised that, I just, you know, sometimes I get verbal diarrhea that I chuck up into my journal. And actually, what I realised was the more I started writing, it's like you're talking to yourself. You know, like you're having a conversation. It's not like talking in your head, it's different. And that the journaling has made me realize so many things that I hadn't, and think of things again in a different way that I would never thought of. I mean, there's, you know, things that have happened in the past that are, you know, things that I couldn't get past, that I got past with Bianca's help and journaling, that for how old am I? So like for 40 years, I haven't been able to get past. And I did that through journaling and obviously Bianca's support. But it's there, and I did that through the holiday, and I do it. I, you know, plan with it, and I put any thoughts in there, but I would not have come so far if it wasn't for the fact that that's what I've got in a habit of doing. Just, you know, journaling, putting down, you know, reminders of what I want to do, my goals, and yeah, it's just it's made so much difference, and something that I didn't think would make a difference. I was just like, yeah, how can that work? Just writing something down in a book, that's never going to work. And Bianca does like to prove me wrong. God, it's got so dark.
It honestly, it is one of those things that you don't realize until you actually do it, how big and how huge it is, and how much quicker you can just get over your own shit. There's someone that I follow, and she says that it's called paper thinking. And as soon as you get these words onto paper, it's like having a conversation with someone. Have you ever experienced a conversation where you're saying to someone, you're like, ah, shit, I know how that sounds. That might sound different. It sounded different in my head. That's exactly what we do, but that would have been one conversation out of thousands, whereas we have hundreds and hundreds of conversations in our own head every single day, and most of them, majority of them, are always going to be negative, and it's going to be about us. So if you can verbalize it or get it out on paper, you can then see how shitty that thinking is, and also just how wrong, like untrue that those thoughts are. And so being able to journal not only helps you with that, but also helps you work through stuff that has been holding you back. Maybe it could be a little bit of diet trauma, past trauma, childhood trauma, whatever it is for you. Paper thinking is the way that you're going to get through. Okay, amazing. So paper thinking, finding a support, a tribe, a community, a sisterhood of people who are on the same journey. And taking like that huge big step of investing time, money, emotionally, physically, mentally, just taking that big huge
that's true. Emotionally, definitely, you know, it is obviously, you know, you're thinking about things that you've pushed down. That's that's the point. And, you know, potentially pushed it down with food, or that's what you think you're doing, or you don't realize you're doing. So yeah, it has been emotional, and it still will be, because you still carry on learning, which is great. And now I just annoy people because I just walk around or bounce around with a great big smile on my face.
I'm happy. She came to me with that as a complaint. I was like, this is the best complaint I've ever heard. I like it. All right, is there anything else that you'd love to share with anyone who might be struggling or on the fence, thinking about getting help, but they're just not quite sure, it feels scary, or they're worried?
I would say take the plunge, and also, you know, I know that when you and I met, we had a conversation before I started, to see, you know, for you to understand me and for me to get to know you, so that I felt comfortable when I was then talking to you. So, you know, and you're, you know, obviously you're great. Otherwise, I wouldn't have signed up again, would I? But I just would say take that plunger, and also realize that the position that you're in, if you were in a position similar to mine, that actually it isn't your fault. It's not, none of it is your fault. And you just need somebody. Oh, I'm going to get emotional now. Don't pull that face. You just need somebody to help you. Oh my goodness. And for somebody else to tell you, well, I still can't take that anyway, but somebody else to tell you you're inspiring. But yeah, but for another word that, you know, doesn't sound like inspiring.
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
Appreciate you, Rudi. Thank you so much for sharing so much in so much depth, and explaining like everything that you've been experiencing and how you've been able to overcome it. You've talked a lot today about everything, and so I really, really want to appreciate and acknowledge that this conversation is going to help someone out there. Someone's going to see this. Someone's going to say, "Hey, I was experiencing similar things to you." I think that if Rudi can make that change, so can I. So thank you so much for being a really inspiring client of mine, for many other people. We will work on you accepting that compliment one day, but we'll get there. But in all honesty, I appreciate you, Rudi. And is there anything else that you would like to say before we go, before we wrap up?
Thanks for being an inspiring coach.
You're my fan. That's how you take a compliment.
Okay.
All right, much love to you, and I'll speak to you on WhatsApp. Thank you ever so much for everyone else watching this. If you have any comments, compliments, or anything for Rudi, please drop them in the comments. If you have any questions for me, please reach out. And if you ever want a chit chat just to see if my services are of any benefit for you, please let me know. Rudi, you are free to go if you want. I just wanted to drop in and say that I am actually giving away, I should have said this at the start of the chat, I'm actually giving away $400 worth of coaching for anyone who wins the competition, or the lucky winner of the competition of this next upcoming challenge. So it's 5 days for free 5-day training, very intimate. I think we've only got about 4 people involved, so your chances of winning that are very, very high. It's basically a month introduction, a month taster, to give you an idea of exactly what to expect. So if you're interested in joining the 5-day challenge, or you just want a little bit more information, always message me the word method and I will send that over to you. Thank you so much, Rudi. I appreciate you. Take care, and I will see you soon.
Bye, bye, bye.